Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's event. We are going to kick off the event officially in just a few minutes here. I'm going to give a couple minutes for people to kind of trickle in, and I can share some details about the event room, the online room that we're in here in the meantime. So for everybody in the space joining us, welcome. Today we are going to go over some information about our 21-week Product Management Career Bootcamp, and we've got a guest speaker here. So I'll dive into all of that in just a minute. First off, the chat log is in the bottom right corner of the screen there. So feel free to interact with us. You can chat with me, you can chat with the guest speaker. There's also an admissions person here in the room. I'll introduce all of those folks in just a moment, but feel free to use the chat. We've also got a questions tab down in the bottom right corner. We are going to do some audience Q&A at the end of the event. So feel free to put your questions in there throughout the duration of the event, and then we will loop back at the very end and do some audience Q&A together and just make sure that we answer any questions that get put into that questions tab. So I usually encourage people, try your best not to throw the questions into the chat tab. Try and keep those in the questions if you can. And like I said, we'll kind of loop back and go over those. There's also a polls tab down there. I believe I already put one of the polls in. I think I've got one in there. So feel free to respond to that one. I will drop a few more polls in there later on, likely nearing the end of the guest speaker presentation. And I'll ask you guys to kind of engage with those, I guess, once those are loaded. But that's the event space. We've got the chat, we've got the questions and the polls. Chat used throughout, questions, try and keep all your Q&A questions in there, and we'll do them all together at the end. And like I said, polls, there's one in there to start, and I will add a few more of those in later in the presentation. So feel free to share in the chat where everyone is joining us from here today. I am originally I'm from Ontario. I actually grew up in Niagara Falls, and then I lived out in BC in the Rocky Mountains, and now I live in Calgary, Alberta. So no one in the chat. Someone let me know where you guys are joining from here today. I can see you guys are in here. Put you on the spot right at the beginning of the presentation. Toronto, awesome. Montreal, beautiful. Toronto, Ottawa, and Washington. Oh, cool. Toronto, Waterloo. Toronto, welcome. Well, welcome, guys. Thanks so much for joining here today. I'll probably repeat a few things throughout the presentation just as people kind of come in, but this full session will be recorded as well. So if anybody's looking for any of the details afterwards, you can take notes now. You can take screenshots throughout, but you can also just kind of relax and sit back, and you will get a full recording of this afterwards. So so that's a little bit about the room. I'm going to go ahead and get the presentation queued up here so that we can kick that part off. All right. So, like I said, today's session is focused. It's an information session with a focus on our 21-week Product Management Career Bootcamp. We offer different bootcamps through CircuitStream and with our university partners, but today's focus, we're going to be chatting about the product management one in particular. I'll start off by introducing myself. So my name is Tyler Trapp. I work with CircuitStream. I've been with this company for just over 3 years, I guess 3.5 years or so now. And before this, I worked in travel and tourism and hospitality for a few years, probably almost a decade, I guess, leading up to when lovely COVID hit. So that's a little on me. I'm not inviting him up quite yet, but I will invite in a few minutes. I'll invite Dennis up on stage. He is a product manager at Grammarly, and he's also one of our Product Management Bootcamp instructors. When I have him up on stage, I'm just going to ask him some questions about the course, how it might prepare students for careers in product management, maybe a little bit about what he does in his role as well. But before I do that, I'm just going to share some general information about us at CircuitStream, a little bit of information about the industry, and of course the bootcamp. So, one more introduction I should do here too is we will also have Laura in the chat. She is here today. Feel free to say hey there. I think she's typing already. She's one of our enrollment advisors. She's here to basically assist with answering any questions that you guys have about the bootcamp availability, financing plans, scheduling, pricing, upcoming cohort dates. So if you have any specific questions about the boot camps in that sense, Laura can absolutely help. And I know I mentioned at the beginning, so if you put your questions in the questions tab, we will do Q&A at the end. However, with Laura here, if you have any specific questions that she can field, she might go ahead and answer those in the questions tab throughout the presentation too. So feel free to throw those in. She's also going to share her meeting link in a little bit as well. I don't know what her availability is like for the rest of the day today, but generally speaking, we have a few folks that are usually interested in some follow-up questions. So if you are one of those today during the session, just make sure you try and book one of her available time slots with her. She probably only can do kind of a couple meetings at the end of the day today. So, oh sweet, she's already shared it up on the side there. So we'll share that again a little bit later on as well, but feel free to book a meeting with her anytime. All right, so I will get into a little bit about us at Circuit Stream. So we began in 2015 through a network of developers, designers, and creators, and we are now a leading provider of technology learning in areas like AR, VR, game development and design, product management, and software development. We also partner with industry-leading companies and leading educational institutions to offer courses and training to those looking to learn more about emerging technologies. So you can see a handful of our corporate partners there on the left, and then on the right, you can see our main university partners that are listed there too. And so why launch a career in product management? A product manager is an interdisciplinary position that collaborates with different departments to guarantee success of a new product. Product managers have a dynamic career with opportunities to shape innovative products and have measurable impact on a company's success. On screen, you can see some of the top reasons why people may choose to work as product managers. And again, for anybody who is just joining this session now, I just want to repeat that it will be fully recorded. So you will get a full recording of this at the end there. So feel free to take notes, but don't feel pressured to do it if you don't want to. So acquiring product management skills in Canada positions individuals to excel in a variety of industries and contribute to economic growth. With rapidly growing technology sector and thriving startup ecosystems in cities like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and Waterloo, product managers play a vital role driving innovation and ensuring companies deliver products that meet market needs. According to LinkedIn, in just Ontario alone, there are currently over 700 job postings for product manager positions. All right, there's many different titles that product managers would be hired for as well. So when people are kind of being launched out into the industry after they've taken any form of education, I usually encourage them to look for roles beyond just product manager title. There might be other things like, growth product managers or product marketers or product strategists. So just different types of titles that would be available. So don't limit yourself when you're looking for career opportunities, I guess, to just searching for product manager titles solely. The average salary for product manager roles in Canada right now is $109,000, and this is according to Glassdoor. Now, a little bit about our Product Management Bootcamp. Our hands-on 21-week bootcamp is both online and project-based. It has 5 hours of live class per week, 2.5 hours of technical bi-weekly career labs, and 10 hours of independent study. Their weekly assignments, in-class challenges, portfolio projects, and students complete a capstone project at the end of the bootcamp. The bootcamp is designed for those interested in learning in the essential practices of product management, from strategic planning and feature development to agile execution. This program's comprehensive curriculum is designed to provide a full spectrum of understanding of the product lifecycle, ensuring that you are adept in guiding all products from their initial conception all the way to their market dominance. Product management is a great opportunity with lots of growth potential. This is why we've collaborated with University of Toronto and the University of Toronto and McGill to offer this 21-week product management bootcamp. So I just had a notification pop up on my screen there. So that's just a little bit about the bootcamp itself. In terms of the outcomes, our bootcamp graduates emerge with comprehensive skill sets that prepare them for success. Through in-depth modules like Product Management Foundations, students gain a solid understanding of the roles and responsibilities, how they navigate product development stages, and how they use data to inform strategic decisions. Graduates are also educated on market insights and product strategy, feature ideation and development, agile execution and team dynamics, product positioning and growth, and data mastery and decision making. And students receive career development support throughout the course. And they complete the bootcamp with a product manager certification from CircuitStream, of course, and then also with the affiliates, university affiliates. So it would either be with U of T or with McGill, the partner there. Now, in terms of the career development that I just mentioned, I just want to share some quick details on that we have available through our boot camps. We have career labs that teach students how to leverage technical and behavioral strengths, gain awareness of the digital ecosystem, create compelling portfolios, elevate their digital presence, and learn how to network effectively and basically become interview ready for industry jobs. Our career networking really does set our programs apart from others that you may find. The reality is that every student has different objectives as they come to us. But for those who are looking to find new jobs or those who are looking to improve on their current positions, they find this aspect of the course incredibly helpful. And then as a part of the career support, our boot camps will also come with a student pitch day, which happens at the end of the program. Students have the opportunity to showcase their capstone projects to hiring and industry partners. The event is an amazing way to add people to your network, to be considered for any job openings that they may have, or just to receive feedback from on projects from hiring managers or people who are kind of working in the industry and can give you amazing insight on that. And then here are some examples of our hiring partners for the Product Management Bootcamp. Some of these companies may be in our upcoming pitch days. You can also expect to see some of these industry partners in our private Ask Me Anything sessions. So we also host AMA sessions for just our students who are currently enrolled in our boot camps, where we'll invite industry professionals in. And it's just kind of a live AMA where the students can ask the industry professionals anything they want, whether it's, how can I stand out? What's a good way to break into the industry? How should I, what types of companies should I apply to? Like whatever the case may be, any questions that graduates would have to kind of assist them moving into their career, it's a great opportunity to connect with the professionals that way. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and invite today's guest speaker up on stage. Dennis is one of our Product Management Bootcamp instructors, and he's also a product manager at Grammarly. And I'm going to ask him some questions about the course and how it prepares students for careers in product management. So welcome to the stage, Dennis.
Hey, Tyler. Hey, everybody. Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I always like to give a warning. I'm going to make your screen big, Dennis, so you're going to be It's going to move over there. There we go. All right. So I'll start off with the first question I have here for you, Dennis. Actually, first of all, can you introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit about your instructing position at CircuitStream and your PM role at Grammarly?
Yeah, of course. Happy to. So I've been working here for quite some time with Grammarly. I think coming up on 5.5 years. So it's been a great journey to go through multiple areas of company's growth, but also different areas of the product management, which I think is essential to getting a very diverse view of what you can expect as you transition into the industry, both from the design side of things, but then maybe a little bit more technical and infrastructure related. So I really appreciate that. I feel like that helped me become a better product manager over time, which was a good match with the bootcamp, because at the end of the day, I think the goal is to give students an introduction to the variety of experiences that PM can have, and prepare them with both the vocabulary and a skill set to then dive deeper. I don't think anyone has like an illusion of becoming like a top-notch PM just after doing 21 weeks of the study material, but it's definitely something that gets your foot in the door and then makes you feel comfortable having conversations about the craft with the rest of the industry.
Perfect. Amazing. All right. And yeah, we'll share some more details about the course and stuff here too as we chat. But could you give us a brief overview of the bootcamp, the Product Management Bootcamp, maybe what different topics and areas are covered?
Of course. Yeah, like it was mentioned on the slide, I think the goal is to start from the foundations and then go deeper in each area that PMs are most likely to be responsible for. one way that I like to think about it is it covers different stages of companies, from a startup to a growing company to a more established company. And it also covers products at different life cycle, where it's something that is, like there's a trailblazer of like 0 to 1 project, and someone who is working with a project that is scaling very actively, and someone is working with an established project at a large enterprise. So we like to look at the course like from the perspective of each, and have a set of skills that help you to be plugged into that team and lead that team eventually down the road. At the end of the day, I think we're covering a vast array of topics, from the fundamentals to a little bit of marketing. I like to have a heavy emphasis on design, because I think design thinking makes all of us better product managers, and a little bit of sprinkle of technical details and data science.
Oops, I mute myself. Amazing. And we have a copy, obviously, of the bootcamp syllabus. So if anybody wants to take what Dennis just said and maybe kind of dive a little bit further and take a look, I will share some resources throughout the presentation here. But I mean, in the meantime, if you want to access it right away, you could just go to circuitstream.com, click on the adult courses, click on product management, and request the syllabus. I think it just asks for your first name, last name, email, so that they can send it to you. So yeah, so we'll dive more into that, I'm sure, here too. But next question I have here for you is, who's the ideal student for this bootcamp? Do they need to have any sort of prior experience or anything before enrolling?
Yeah, that is a great question. And I love that question, because it's very product minded, right? Like, as you're solving someone's problem, you want to know who is your ideal customer, like why would they care? And I think we had some hypothesis, like any good product team, on what course will be useful for. And then we've iterated over the last multiple cohorts to refine that. And I think the people who really succeeded actually come from both someone who is new to the tech industry, but had previous experience like professionally, and understand what it takes to launch a new initiative or product. They just want to have a skill set to speak the language and run the product team, but also somebody who's already working in the tech industry, and they are just not yet in the product management role. Just to give you an example, I think we had students who were in the design and business analyst like profiles at the tech companies, and they refined their skill set, and they took Capstone as an opportunity to actually pitch projects internally within their company that could put a spotlight on them. And we also had people who were transitioning from industries outside of what's commonly known as tech, but they had what I felt like a decent background in what it takes to work with people, and what it takes to run projects to an end. And then they used it as a way to break into the industry by building a portfolio that then started an interview process for them.
Using the project to pitch internally to your company is brilliant. I love that. That's really cool. So for anybody in the crowd, I mean, depending on what your background is, it may or may not help you with any sort of education you take, any sort of boot camp. If you have some sort of experience that can lend to the education, then it's going to kind of help you get a little bit further along. But for these boot camps, we do say that they are completely beginner friendly. So you don't have to have any sort of prior experience. Just, whatever you do have may or may not help you for any education that you kind of take in life. So,
yeah.
Okay, so the next one is, how is this course content designed to reflect real-world product management practices? You kind of touched on that a second ago, but I'll let you.
Yeah, but I know the repetition is key to learning, so I guess I'll just like reinforce the idea that I think the course flows such that we start with fundamentals, and to give you an example, like looking, what does it mean for business to find a problem? Like, what does it mean for business to focus on an area and identify its customer profile? And then we go into more nitty-gritty details of like wireframing your ideas, talking to potential customers, designing forms to collect feedback. And even it is kind of hard when you're at the startup level, but even thinking about what kind of data and metrics you could collect in order to refine your ideas and make them better. So in that way, I think it is very reflective of what a typical product development lifecycle is like, and more cryptic term of software development lifecycle at companies. And more importantly, I feel for me, the success was when students and the course, and they have either decent case study documented or even a working prototype that they can just flex around with others and say, look, I built this. This is something that ended up being a 21-week of my effort result. 21 weeks of my effort resulted in.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can show it like right away too.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, next question I have here for you. Let's see here. What types of tools and programs do students learn well in the bootcamp?
I love this question because I think I have a little bit of a hot take on this one, which is I don't like focusing too much on tools and like apps, whatever is the trendiest. I do like to think about the principles behind those tools and what kind of skills or needs they solve. So I'll kind of have to be very upfront with it. Like we're not going to spend too much time in Jira or any other like product management related tool. I do emphasize the use of maybe a couple of things. Figma is a huge tool that I love, mainly for communicating and visualizing your ideas at different stages of the product. I'm a huge fan of Loom, and I always ask students to use the presentation as a way to communicate their ideas and test how it lands and collect feedback. And then we every now and then jump, like I actually huge fan of any like AI enabled tools. So you'll definitely hear me say and give feedback and use those. But other than that, we do look at multiple things from Jira and Mixpanel and Google Analytics. But at the end of the day, I think it's a key to start with what is the problem that a student is trying to solve, and then finding the right tool that's available on the market. Because as we know, the tools, software tools out there are changing every single day. So it's hard to keep up and just stick with one set.
Absolutely. And just speaking of, because you mentioned it quick there too, and I don't know if this would be specifically relevant to this course, but have you played with DeepSeek yet?
I looked at it. I haven't done the key workflows that I do at work. But yeah, I think this is very exciting to try it out and see how they match the same level of quality.
Yeah, I asked the same question in ChatGPT Pro, like the 4 version or whatever, and then in the DeepThink version of the other one.
Did it turn out well?
Very similar, very similar
Okay.
answers, I have to say. The only difference that I noticed right off the bat was in DeepSeek, you can actually see the thought process. So ChatGPT, you'll ask a question, it'll think, and it'll produce an answer. In DeepSeek, you'll ask a question, and it'll start doing lines of telling you what it's thinking as it's going through that, and then it'll produce the answer for you, which is quite neat. So,
cool.
But that's as far as I got with it so far. But
Yeah.
just talking about AI and tools couldn't help it.
AI.
It's everywhere. Could you describe what a typical week would look like in the bootcamp for a student? Like what can they expect in terms of workload and assignments?
Yeah. Well, I like to think it could be a very demanding week. It also could be a little bit less demanding. So I think depending on where you are in the course, but also what kind of background you're coming with, some weeks may be easier to handle than others. I didn't like at the basic. You should expect about 5 hours of lectures, which is Tuesday and Thursday, and we get together with some theoretical material. Of course, we spend some time just doing admin, organization, making sure you have all the right setup, access, and questions answered. We cover the theory of product management, and then I like to spend time discussing and giving spotlight to students to showcase what they're working on, because it represents a more true spirit of the product team, where you don't just have a leader on the product team or somebody coming in and just telling what needs to be done and showing the theory behind it. You then have people presenting their thoughts, drafts, prototypes, and everybody's giving feedback, because we're all could be potential users for an idea, or we have to build empathy for that product, which is also another important thing that helps with product acumen, so-called. I think the other important aspect is you want to allocate time for homework, and we usually have deadlines for Monday because people like to do homeworks over the weekend. So depending if you count weekend as part of your week or not, but I would say 5 to 7 hours just to do a little bit of research, organize your thoughts, format it properly, and present it is probably a good guess on how much you can expect. So if I do my math correctly, it's somewhere in between 10 to 15 hours per week that you'll probably be working on the course. And a lot of that is what I like to think is a hands-on work as it would be in my day-to-day job.
Absolutely. And I mean, you can put more time into it too if you really want to. Like some people will,
Oh, boy, I would only encourage that. And I did go
yeah,
about, and I like with every single assignment that we do, I kind of like to say, well, this is kind of an expected set of things that you just need to do. But also, if you want to go above and beyond, go explore this prototype, go use this tool to present that idea. And I'm happy to geek out about those and, send me an email and we'll chat about it more.
that's what I was going to say. The instructors, like all of our instructors, are pretty much the same way that way. They're all excited about what they teach. They're excited when they see students getting a good grasp of it or wanting to kind of dive into, specialized areas within it too. So, but it is comforting to know that about 10 to 15 hours is kind of the requirement for those who are working in full-time positions or, may not have as much free time. And maybe that fluctuates week to week throughout the course too. And some weeks you can add a little extra time, but about 10 to 15 hours would be kind of like the max requirement there. So
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you, Dennis. All right. And then the next question here is what kind of support do students receive as they work through the course material? How accessible are the instructors during the program? Like how accessible is it for a student to get a hold of you kind of thing, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, so I think there are like two aspects to it. One is there is a group environment, there is a one-on-one environment, and there is a self-study environment. In the self-study environment, I very much encourage students to drive things on their own, but then take notes and send them either over email or just recording a loom, like I said, just like we would do at work and say, hey, this is where I am with this project. I'm looking at these maybe ideas or doing this wireframe. Can you give me feedback? So that's more of an asynchronous communication. And I'm doing my best to, like reply same day or next day just to unblock people with their studies. The group environment is focused on presenting your ideas in the in the setting during the class where you can get feedback from the rest of the group. And also we allocate some time for like more like a one-on-one session, but also with the rest of the group where like somebody would show their idea and say where they are struggling. It doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't need to be like beautiful presentations with bells and whistles, but it's more like, this is where I am. This is the challenges I'm facing. And I do my best to then guide students through saying like, you might want to consider this direction depending on, the challenge you're facing. And we can chat more both like over email and Zoom about it.
Perfect. All right, I have to make a quick note here. While we were going through that question, I just added a couple more polls into the polls tab there too. So for anyone in the audience, feel free to go ahead and respond to those. And I'll dive into the next question here with you, Dennis. So what kind of career coaching or mentorship is available to students? Do students receive assistance with building their resumes, portfolios, LinkedIn profiles, anything along those lines?
Yeah, it is a great question. And I think my partner in crime on the career side would have a much more detailed answer, but I'll just, touch on the key things. One, I like to give most of examples in the lectures that are rooted in a type of a product manager interview that you'd run into. Two, I think every homework material has an opportunity to be turned into like a case study or a write-up or a blog that can go onto your social media or your LinkedIn profile as a deliverable and an artifact of your work. And three, I very much encourage students to, like their capstone project and even a midterm project, to build or document it in a way that it's presentable online as a part of a case study on their LinkedIn. Depending on students' interest, it also depends on like how much they covered in the career sessions. We sometimes have like a little review and show and tell of LinkedIn profiles and resumes, which to me is almost the same thing. And I like to go over examples that I like to say, hey, I think this is a very well formatted and very well presented case of product manager profile. If you want to have inspiration, take a look at this.
Amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't even know that because I knew that we have the career side. I didn't even know in the classroom that you kind of also tackled a bit of that too.
Yeah,
directly,
and
which is
I'd
really
like to
cool.
do it to explain. Yeah, like I kind of I don't think I'm as educated and knowledgeable as our career coach, right? But I like to do it from the perspective like this is my thought process as someone who been interviewing and also somebody who interviewed for our company, and like I formatted my online presence according to that, so that if you want to know why this specific sentence is there, this is why.
That's really cool. So yeah, and I mean, I guess I touched on it in my presentation, just the overall career support. We've got career labs that we have, and we've got the pitch day, obviously, at the end. But yeah, this just added even an extra level to it that I wasn't aware that you were tackling some of that right in the class as well, which is amazing. So not surprised, but just happily surprised, I guess. All right, and so a couple more questions here for you. How do you accommodate for different learning styles and paces with students in the class?
Yeah, this is a great question, and I want to kind of get some inspiration from the most recent experiences. Like there was a student that I think barely spent time like speaking in the lecture, and I was really concerned about them because I thought they are disengaged. And we kind of had a quick chat, and it turned out they're just this is not their style, right? Like they prefer to take notes and think about material in depth and then follow up. And I noticed that their preference was to write out their thoughts and then present them like by submitting their assignment and getting asynchronous feedback over email or Loom. So I like, since we try to keep groups rather small and intimate, I like to pinpoint of like what's the preferences of each individual, whether like to speak in the class and then give them the platform to share their ideas, and then maybe sometimes call out on individual students. But if somebody's not comfortable with that, we could always do a more like a private setting discussion, which in both cases works. Like as long as students are feeling like they are getting better and refining their skills, that makes me happy.
That's perfect. And just to add to that for the audience, so we don't there isn't like 300 students in one of our classes. They're kept quite small and intimate, so that the instructors and the students are able to kind of communicate at a little bit of a better level. And they're feeling like their voice is being heard and their questions are kind of getting answered. But across the board, I mean, I asked this question to a lot of instructors, and Dennis's response is basically the same, in the sense that they make themselves really available all the time, and they're always kind of there to support. So um, basically, if you had any sort of additional learning requirements, or if you need anything, if you voice that to us, the team here and the instructor team is going to do whatever they need to do to kind of assist that and make sure that you're good and comfortable. So that's the biggest takeaway, I guess. But all right, and one more question here for you, Dennis. What advice would you give to someone considering enrolling in a course like this or a boot camp like this one?
Yeah, I think like any good product manager, I try to think about the problem you want to solve for yourself, and define what would success mean at the end of the day, because it's a big commitment. It's time wise and some financially as well. And I think having the right set of expectations, which then can communicate with the admissions office, the rest of the team, can help align that. And knowing that success for you could mean getting 5, 10, 20 interviews even before you reach the end is a good, it's like one way to measure if you're getting there. Maybe your goal is to expand your online presence and build build the product of your own, but because you had that idea for a while is another one. So that as you go through this course week to week, you can look back at what you decided to be a success, and look at the metrics if you're getting close to achieving that. So that would be my biggest, biggest advice, is to understand what is it the problem that you want to solve. Think of what success looks like to you, and then communicate it to the rest of the support team here to make sure that this course aligns with your expectations.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's perfect. And I guess you don't have to have any prior experience, so don't let that scare you away too. If that was one thing you were worried about.
Yeah, it could be another way. Like we've had students that actually were not in tech, and we're not even considering changing immediately, but they wanted to expand their understanding of what tech looks like, and this was their introduction into more like less technical area of tech. And for them, success meant they could write a bunch of maybe LinkedIn or blog post explaining what they've learned and expanding their horizon. That sounds perfect to me.
Amazing. Well, so we're going to do some audience Q&A here in just a moment. Dennis, what I'll do is I'm going to move you smaller again here over to the side. Oh, maybe. There we go. And yeah, if you want, go ahead and mute your microphone for just a minute there, Dennis. I'm going to share some quick details about the upcoming course dates, enrollment information, pricing, that kind of stuff. And Laura, as I mentioned before, is in the chat here too. Admittedly, I haven't looked at the questions tab yet. I'm going to pop over there in just a second. She may already be answering some of those, but we'll go through that. But if you do have any specific questions for Laura about enrollment things, or if you're looking to book a meeting with her to kind of learn a little bit more about anything course related, feel free to do that. Laura, if you want, go ahead and share your link in the corner there again. And the meeting link should pop up. There we go. So yeah, for anybody who's looking, just go ahead and click it. I don't know how much availability, I said this earlier too, she has left for today, but if there's a spot in there, feel free to snag it and grab a chat with her. All right, and so I'm just going to share, like I said, some information on the course pricing and the upcoming course dates. So I'll start off with the pricing info here. This bootcamp, the tuition is $10,500. Students are able to, of course, pay for it up front if they choose, but we do also have finance plans and options available there. So this would be a great opportunity. If you had any kind of follow-up questions on this, Laura can kind of assist with anything there. So if you have any questions about the pricing, feel free to book with Laura. In terms of upcoming cohort dates, the next available cohort is starting on February 11th and running through to July 10th. I don't know how many seats we have left. Sometimes these cohorts can fill up quite quickly. But again, Laura's kind of the best person for that. She'd be able to give you an indication if we have seats left for that one. And if not, she'd be able to give you an indication of the next available cohort date that would be coming in after this one. And then this is how you can reach out directly. So like I said, we have someone in the chat. She can connect with you. But in general, you can also reach us using any of these phone numbers here on screen. You'll basically get an admissions person who's affiliated directly with CircuitStream, or one of the people who's affiliated with McGill or U of T, depending on how you reach out using these phone numbers or these emails here. And I think that's it. Yeah, that was it. I just wanted to share some really quick details about the course so that people had access to that information. And then now myself, Dennis, and Laura are going to answer some questions here. Dennis and I will be up on the screen. Laura's just kind of in the background, but she'll be in the chat there to help us answer these. So I'm just going to close this presentation screen off, Dennis, and bring us back up here. And I will flip over to the questions tab and see what we've got here. So. Normally if the question's not answered, I can put it up on the screen and everyone can kind of see the answer as we go through. If Laura's answered it already, I'm just going to kind of read it out and then maybe read what her answer was. And then if we have any additional thoughts, Dennis, we can just kind of add to that too. But the first question here was, how does the job market look for new product manager graduates? Management graduates, sorry. How many of your past graduates get PM positions, and how long did it take to get these jobs? Laura has responded here. The job market for product management roles in Canada is strong, with increasing demand for skilled professionals across various industries. We've had some great success stories, including a graduate landing a product management role with Air Canada. I think that one was somewhat recent. I remember hearing that one just recently. And others stepping into product specialist positions. We'll be receiving our full student outcomes report soon, which is true. We'll be able to kind of give a full indication of what that looks like beyond just some individual stories. But yeah, that makes sense. I remember, I can specifically call out to the Air Canada one. I just was reading about that the other day. So yeah, that sounds good. Did you have anything you wanted to add? I was just nodding and kind of agreeing with that one, but yeah, you too.
Nope. Yeah, I think this is spot on. I think it's like seeing data, to me is like reassurance that we're doing this. We can hear a lot of stories, but seeing data prove that is like one way to be very product minded about it. I do have to say, it's like, I think the tech industry is going through a very interesting phase right now. So regardless if it's a PM role or not, I think there are a lot of challenges in the tech industry. But one idea that I heard, and it's just like more of a personal take on this, is like, every turbulent time, it's also a moment to invest in your education, to open up your horizons and see how you can weather through the storm and then become relevant later on. So I think if somebody is looking for, like, maybe struggling or looking for a way to deepen the knowledge, education in any, like, lifelong learning in any form is a great way to weather through this storm.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, Gabriel, hopefully that answered between Laura, myself, and Dennis here. Hopefully we gave you an answer, but if you have anything else there, feel free to add in. All right, the next one is, how difficult is it to transition into product management after having a good experience as a project manager for a long time? I'm actually going to let you answer that one, Dennis. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready to take this one. So, Sangeeta, thanks for the question. I think it's a common one, and I think we've had people coming with the project manager profile into the course. What I like to say is about like 10 to 15% of my job is project management. So in a way, you're ahead in 10 to 15% of somebody who hasn't been doing product management. I think the way I would expand it is the project manager's role is to making sure things get delivered on time, while PM's role is to deciding what gets to deliver. So knowing if you work in the tech industry, I think it helps to focus more on understanding what you end up building, which is more about strategy and the user and the design. If you're transitioning from outside the tech industry, I hope this comes with a set of what's called soft skills, to know how to work with people, organize the teams, which again going to help you focus on more on technical details of how to launch products. But at the end of the day, I think it's a step that I've seen people take on their journey, because as they get really comfortable with launching things on time and then deadlines, meeting the deadlines, they can then focus on what exactly is getting launched.
Perfect, perfect. And I saw some upvotes coming on that one too. So a few people were kind of wondering the same question there as we were answering. So hopefully we answered for all you guys there. All right, the next one, it looks like we did answer. Can you provide examples of how past graduates without Canadian work experience have successfully transitioned into product management roles? Laura did respond to this one. We can share success stories of past students who've made career switch into product management from other industries, even without prior experience in the field. Many of them have successfully transitioned and found roles in the industry. She is going to connect you with either herself or one of the enrollment advisors on the team to share some more details there with you for that. So she is all over it. All right, so the next one here, do you provide guidance on identifying industries with high demand future for product management roles? Yes, so we provide career support, including one-on-one sessions with your career coach. During these sessions, you'll discuss high demand industries, market research, personal branding, and more to help you kind of on your path. That's in addition to everything else we said earlier that you kind of get through the career support. And then you also get some additional support from your lovely instructors in the class for the career side too, which is great. So yeah, so hopefully that answered your question there. Again, thank you, Laura, for kind of tackling some of these as we were going through. I know Dennis has a hard stop today around the hour, so I think we're going to be good here. We'll just kind of go through these questions. So I'll put this one up here. Could you provide more detail on the roadmap for individuals without a tech background? How can they enhance their understanding of the tech industry?
Yeah, this is a great question. And in a way, I think there's benefit to not being, well, I don't know if spoiled is the right word, but not having that legacy tech debt coming in with the tech, with the previous tech background. I think the first, like, I think there's like benefit in how the course structured to deepening the knowledge. So first unit is really focused on the basics. And I would say this is generally something you want to know about the business and software business in general, regardless of your role. And I've seen students actually make a decision if, you know, that's something they want to continue pursue, or maybe like even switch to a different bootcamp like software that, you know, offered as well. As we dive into deeper, what I'd like to focus lectures on making sure that it is comfortable for anyone who hasn't done it before. So there's going to be less, like with every lecture, there is going to be a section that is more technical and less technical. And I always preface them by saying, look, like if you've had experience in the past, this part of the lecture may be a little bit boring. So let's review the material and like review the terms that we're using. But then the second part is where you can, dive into more details. And if you want to deepen into the technical skills, learn these to like try using this tool to solve this problem. So at the end of the day, I don't think PM role, a lot of people argue the generalist PM role is probably the most accessible role in tech for somebody who hasn't done tech in the past. So that makes it easier. And two, it's an introductory course, right? So we're not going to be diving into the unit economics and a lot of like prediction analytics on what the product will look like. So hopefully the combination of both make it easier for people without a previous tech background.
Totally. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Let me jump into the next one here. How long have you been offering this product management bootcamp program? How many cohorts do you have for each bootcamp? So Laura answered this one already. Our first product management bootcamp started in April of last year of 2024. We typically offer 3 cohorts per year, with February, May, and September being the expected cohorts for 2025, this upcoming year here. And then we have one more question in here. For experienced professionals in adjacent fields, marketing, design, how useful do you believe training such as this is in securing employment? Is training seen as credible versus getting their foot into the front door?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is I think this question covers a broad set of user stories and cases. So I would like to break it down. So one is you are someone who has an adjacent experience in adjacent fields. How useful is this training? I kind of let's go back and review what is the goal, right? Like if your goal is to use your adjacent training, maybe in design or marketing, and then expand and become a product manager that works maybe with a design system team or go-to-market team, then I think this is the kind of training that helps you understand how do you leverage the previous skill set and then take on PM responsibilities within your company. Perhaps your company doesn't really have a formal PM role defined, but you feel like you're not just doing design and marketing, but you are coordinating multiple stakeholders, you're designing business outcomes, you are measuring the success of those business outcomes. So hopefully this helps you create a vocabulary and become comfortable with defining your role and then making that transition within the company. The other piece is, of course, if you're going and leaving your current company and going above to a different company, I think in that case it shows it helps you use your previous skills and build a case study that then you could show as a way to enter into the product management role. And I kind of in the second part of the question, maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but I don't think it's a juxtaposition of versus, right? Because it's useful or it gets your foot in the door. I think it can be useful, credible. Well, I like to think that University of Toronto and McGill are credible institutions. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here. So it's useful and credible, and it probably helps you get your foot in the door. Does the certificate alone make sure that you're going to get an interview? Well, I mean, let's be frank, not always. We've hired people that had both them and both who had them and didn't, and it comes down to sort of how are you presenting your knowledge and how you've applied it, which is why I'm not getting tired of emphasizing the capstone project, because I think better something that is more useful than a certificate, which is great. Put it on the wall, frame it. It's something to be proud of. You've invested in it, but have a capstone, put it live on the internet, put it on your LinkedIn, say I've built this, I've designed this, and it shows that you were a diligent, disciplined thinker about the problem, and you've come up with a solution.
Yeah, that's always the biggest thing I say to people when they ask about opportunities after taking it, or I always just say to people that it ultimately kind of comes down to how you show what you know. If you can display that you have a good understanding through things like capstone projects and things, it's going to obviously help you a lot more too. So yeah, that's perfect. Okay, and then we had one more question come in there while we were chatting. It said, to receive the final certificate, do we need to be in person? Laura did already answer, but the answer is no. The final certification would be digital. However, you can request a physical or paper certificate directly from the university if you do want one. So the courses and the certification, everything you get would be conducted online. You don't need to physically relocate to any spot or go pick up a certificate or anything, but we can have the university mail you one too if you want a physical copy. So I think that's it. I'm just having a quick look here to make sure we're not missing anything. And yeah, so I think Laura shared it a couple times. If you want to, one more time, Laura, go ahead and share your link in the chat there for anybody who's looking to book a meeting with you. She just put a note in here, just a quick reminder that the registration deadline for the February cohort is Tuesday, February 4th, while the spots are open. So that is coming in pretty quickly here. I didn't realize we were so close to the cutoff. Yeah, we've got less than a week for availability basically for that cohort. So get your meetings booked with Laura if you have any questions, if you're looking for any availability. Otherwise, a huge thank you to you, Dennis, for taking the time to join me again today and do another info session on the course. It was great to have you again.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for organizing and moderating this, Tyler. And thank you, Laura, for answering all of these great questions in the chat.
Amazing. Well, yeah, you know, I'll bug you. I'll have you join me again in the future for another one of these. But thank you to everyone in the audience for joining. I know I mentioned it earlier, but I will send out a recording at the end of this session. So keep an eye on your inbox and your junk mail just in case it lands there. But yeah, you get a full recording of this event here today. And for future events, just go to circuitstream.com. You can scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on the little events tab, and it'll show you any sort of upcoming events we have. Plus, it'll give you a full library of the past events that we've had, so you can go back and watch all the recordings. So thank you again, Dennis. Thank you to everyone for joining, and we will look forward to seeing you at the next session that we have. Cheers. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Take care.
Bye.